ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं चर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यम् बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम् ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवि चक्षुराततम् ॐ श्रीं ह्रीं महालक्ष्म्यै नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय। ॐ हरे राम कृष्ण हरे राम कृष्ण हरे राम कृष्ण।
So the relocation is happening on a Ashveja Krishna Ekadashi. This relocation to a new time basically.
Oh, okay.
This new time, Aries Lagna, Ashveja Krishna Ekadashi, Shubha Yogam, Magha Nakshatram, Mesha Lagnam. The thing is, Lagna is being aspected by Jupiter and Mercury reasonably closely. Reasonably closely. Maybe you want to sit closer so that you can hear in that noise. So Lagna is being aspected by Mars and Jupiter, and there is a Rajoga between Lagna Lord and 9th Lord. So you have chosen a good Muhurta. Except that because it is Mesh Lagna being aspected by Mars, there could be a change soon.
That will be Chalaras.
Yeah, Chalaras basically. Some Charatva is there. Anyway, any questions so far? Any questions from the previous classes?
We were looking at some example on Friday.
Yeah.
Friday we had a tele meeting, and we looked at some charts. It was one interesting chart where there is no birth rectification, birth time rectification done, but you have the data.
Yeah.
It is a case where it says 4 years in 2002 born, I believe, and who is having a medical retardness problem.
Mental retardness problem.
So it looked like I was on the driving conference call and these two people, Ramakrishna and she was there. It looked like in most charts the sun-moon conjunction is, the Saturn-moon conjunction is what is affecting it.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. You will expect Saturn or Rahu or somebody afflicting moon. Not necessarily Mars. Mars is also an affliction, but that will show a lot of anger, lot of aggression. But if somebody mind is not fully developed, it is most likely either North or Saturn. So that affliction can definitely explain it. So you found, which chart were you looking at, Rashi or Trimshamsa or both?
Trimshamsa and Rashi.
Okay, those are the good charts. So you have any question on that chart, or are you all set?
We want to look at the chart quickly for a few
Yeah,
minutes.
sure. Give me the data.
Not spend a lot of time, but just
Yeah, give me the data.
February 6,
February 6,
2003,
oops. February 6, 2003,
11:34 p.m.
11:34 p.m.
New Brunswick, New Jersey.
New Brunswick, New Jersey. Yeah. What is the name or initials or any? How should I say it? Huh?
Ramakrishna Rao's friend.
Okay, mental retardedness.
February 6, 2003.
11:34 p.m.
Mentally. I am saving it in your computer, Seshu.
Ah.
It is in your computer. You don't have to write it down anymore.
PM.
New Brunswick.
Okay, so what were your findings? Oops, I'll change it to English. So what did you find?
Why were you saying Shani Rahu connection?
In D6. In D6 and D30. Yeah, not in Rahu.
Not in Rahu.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in the Shashtamsa, in the D6 chart, Moon is with Saturn, so that was one of your observations. Okay.
But our thinking is just because Moon is afflicted by Saturn,
Yeah.
it can show depression. Why it is particularly showing mental retardation?
Retardness. Okay, good.
And another thing is,
Yeah.
we are looking at we know this particular case was asked saying she has mental retardness, she is put in India and medication,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going with that view and then trying to see Moon Rahu,
Yeah.
Saturn Moon or whatever.
Yeah.
But when we don't know that information,
Yeah.
and if you have to see from the start, how do we then? There is no clue that we have to go to D6 or D30 or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the thing is, if you are looking at something negative, something relating to some mental problem, you will obviously be looking at D6 and D30. But actually, I will make it even more generic. Even when you know that you have to go to D6 and D30, looking at the Saturn affliction of Moon in both D6 and D30, all you can say is there is some mental problem. It could be retardness given by retrograde Saturn, could make the mind very slow, or you could also make it very sad. Saturn is also the planet of sadness. If there is Moon Saturn combination in Trinshamsa and also D6, it can be depression. So there is absolutely no clear logic that proves to you that this is a mental retardness case. That is a possibility. Definitely depression is also another possibility. Depression, maybe schizophrenia, so many different possibilities are there. So with whatever little we know, we cannot confidently, thank you Heater, whatever little we know, we cannot confidently conclude that this is basically a mental retardness case. But let us see, are there any other weaknesses?
Actually, in D30,
See.
Jupiter is aspected.
Pardon me, in
Jupiter
D30?
is aspected by Rahu.
Yeah.
So can that give?
We'll come to that. That's what I was going to come to. Moon is definitely an important planet because he is the planet of mind. Any mental problems are basically problems of the mind. But are they problems only of the mind? Sadness is a problem of the mind. Mental retardness, not being able to learn things well, for example autism, that is also a problem of the mind. And mental retardness in general is a problem of the mind. What is the difference between all these? If you are sad, you are just sad. If you are not able to, if you are mentally retarded, your intelligence is basically not able to connect to your mind. So,
The problem in the higher intelligence rather than in the mental level.
yeah, exactly.
That
He
means
said
the-
The problem at the mental level is only basically the symptom. It's not the root cause basically. There has to be some weakness.
So there are two other things that should cause this.
Yeah.
One is the basic intelligence which will be given by the Lagna and the Jupiter, and the learning ability which will come from Mercury, and the output.
Yes,
of
learning
this-
ability coming
output
from
of
it.
this is what should go into mind to react into the world.
Right.
So that means the Mercury may be badly affected or very weak.
Yes.
And the
Usually in mentally retarded cases, you find not only Moon, but also Mercury to be very badly afflicted. Mercury is very important because Mercury is your learning ability, how you adapt to the surroundings. So when a child grows up, child looks at the whole world, oh, if I press this, this happens, if I push this falls, like that he draws conclusions by experimenting. So all that learning is basically Mercury. So if that Mercury is weak, for example, Mercury is afflicted, then that learning ability will go away. Then that can result in mental retardness. So in a mentally retarded case, pay attention to not only Moon but also to Mercury. So if you look at Mercury, are there any problems with Mercury here in this chart? If you look at D30.
is the 8th Lord.
Pardon me? He is with the 8th Lord. I'm talking about he is with Lagna Lord. I'm not looking at that one. In the D30, are there any weaknesses with Mercury? Is Mercury giving any problems? Is Mercury strong or weak? Yeah, go ahead.
Papakatri is there.
Okay, so Saturn on one side and Rahu and Ketu on the other side. So there is Papakatri yoga on Mercury. Okay, so he is afflicted, and he is the 8th lord in Bhadrakasthana. Mercury is the 8th lord.
But it is in the 9th house, it should be okay, right?
But that is Bhadrakasthana.
Oh, okay.
8th lord in the 9th house. 9th house is the house of overall protection. And 8th lord, though he is also 5th lord, 9th is strong, 8th is stronger here. So he is also the 8th lord.
Death of protection.
Pardon?
Death of protection.
Yeah, basically, exactly. Loss of protection, basically. The guy whose agenda is to deplete the protection is basically put in the house of protection. 8th house is the depletion of protection because it's the 12th from 9. So Mercury basically has some weaknesses. He is being, and who are aspecting Mercury? Are there any planets aspecting Mercury? Who have full aspect on Mercury first? Which planets have full aspect on Mercury? Venus has full aspect? I am talking about Grahadrishti. Who have full Grahadrishti on Mercury? Mars has full aspect on Mercury. And who else?
Mars has weak aspect.
Yeah, that is full aspect. Who else? Rahu. Rahu has second house aspect, right? So Rahu and Mars, so two malefic planets are aspecting Mercury. So he not only has Papakatri yoga, but he is being aspected by two malefics. The thing is, you should always be wary if Mars and Saturn, or Saturn and Rahu, or Mars and Rahu, basically any 2 or 3 malefic planets, natural malefics are aspecting a planet, or any house also. You should be wary basically. If you remember in the Rashi chart, similar combinations are parts of the chapas, various sculptures. Right? So, in general, the idea is, if natural malefics are eyeing a particular thing, they all want to do something to that particular house or planet. So, when they get a chance, something bad can happen to that house or planet.
So, when their planet time comes, it's not.
Planet's time comes. But all the chapas are basically based on Grahadrishti, not based on Rajadrishti. So, you cannot ignore Grahadrishti. So, here there are two malefics, Mars and Rahu. Two malefics are aspecting the Grahadrishti. So, two malefics are aspecting Mercury by Grahadrishti, and Mercury has Papakatri yoga. And what else? One of the planets aspecting is associated with the 8th house. Rahu, who is aspecting Mercury, is in the 8th house. And Mars.
But he is
Yes.
Lagna Lord.
He is Lagna Lord in Trimsyamsha, not in Rashi chart. And Mars is the A8 Lord. So, Lord of J8 and Lord of 8th house, two natural malefics, both of them are aspecting Mercury. So, Mercury is quite beaten down.
But how do we explain that this is happening from day one when the child is born? It's not that it happened.
Yeah, that is difficult. What dasha was the child running?
Okay.
But the thing is, my point is, you look at the affliction of Mercury and Moon, and then you can conclude that there can be some learning problems, some darkness in the mind. Not just Moon, but you look at Mercury also.
They started realizing only after 8, 6, 7 months like that. Because
What age?
they started realizing the problem with the child.
Mhm.
Because when the child is just 3 or 5 months, nobody knows, right?
Right,
It is
that's
from
fine.
the childbirth
But
or-
still, we can consider that to be from the birth, basically. Even though they notice at the age of 7 or 8 months, you can say it is basically from birth. So, when was this noticed for the first time?
Like after
When is the
The
birth?
month is February, right? So about October, maybe September, October.
So, it was basically when the dasha of Ketu
Ketu,
dasha has started. When the dasha of Ketu has started. Does it make any sense?
Otherwise, since beginning it is Mercury Dasha, right?
Yeah.
So he is still 8th Lord.
Yeah, Mercury is the 8th lord basically. The dasha. So if you were to guess when it started, probably in Mercury dasha itself. Mercury is the 8th lord in the Bhadrakasthana, showing some inexplicable problems that just come.
8th
And-
Lord from Arada Lagna.
Pardon me?
Mercury is 8th lord from Arudha Lagna.
No, 8th lord from Lagna.
in
I am looking at the Pinshamsa chart. Just focusing on the weaknesses of the person. And what kind of weakness will Mercury show? He is in a Jala Rasi. He is in a Venusian sign. Like I told you earlier, in Pinshamsa, the planets who are in Jala Rasi, Venusian sign, they show basically weakness in the water. So basically, what is water?
mind.
Stability is basically harmony of various elements. It's basically clarity. Clarity comes from Jala. It is clarity is basically, actually stability is a wrong word that I use. Stability we usually associate with the Ati element, because Ati element provides the overall basis, and then the watery element basically mixes various other elements in a very smooth way. And if you look here, Rahu and Ketu are always in Trimshamsa. Rahu and Ketu are the main planets that you should watch out for. They show the biggest weakness, that is tough to overcome. So luckily Rahu and Ketu are not in Akasha Rasi. If they are in Jupiterian sign, it would have been even worse. But they are in a
Aspect is Jupiter though, right?
they are aspecting Jupiter, yeah. But they are in an Ati element, Ati sign. They are in a Neptunian sign. So what that shows is, so basically, if you look at the 8th house and the 8th lord, Rahu and Ketu and the dispositor, they are basically afflicting the watery and earthy elements. So the overall stability and overall balance between various elements, those two are basically in problem. So that also is not conducive. But my guess is, even though they noticed it when Ketu Dasha started, probably the problem was there from the Mercury Dasha itself. But the thing is, as far as outside manifestation is concerned, what people see, they don't see your Trimshamsa, they see your Rasi basically. If you look at Rasi, how is Mercury there? How is Mercury in the Rasi chart? He is the 9th lord,
9th and
in the 3rd house, 9th lord with Lagna lord. So he doesn't really show any big weakness like.
Say 9th lord as Lagna lord or 9th lord with 8th lord too, because 8th house is.
Yeah, that's right. He is 9th lord with the 8th lord also.
and it's the 12th lord with Lagna.
You can look at it as 12th lord with 8th lord, or 12th lord with Lagna lord, 9th lord with Lagna lord, 9th lord with 8th lord. All those are there. But first Tula Lagna, Venus Mercury combination, basically both of them are owning even though they own 8th and 12th also, those are neutral houses. And mainly they own the Lagna and 9th house. So you don't really consider that to be a terrible combination. So you don't really, and it's not that they are associated with the Arudha of the 8th house or Arudha of the 6th house. They don't have any really undesirable afflictions in the Rasi chart as far as Rasi is concerned. If you look from Arudha Lagna, they are in the 11th house. So they don't really show any big problem. So, pardon me? UL, yeah. UL shows some loss. Yes. But the thing is, unless you have A8 or 8th house or A6 or 6th house, some big disease or some big developmental problem being discovered is unlikely. And why am I looking at Rasi? Because I am physically, based on how the child is behaving, the people around, the doctors, the parents, how they basically look at things. So from that point of view, there isn't a big weakness. But how is Ketu? Does he show any problems being discovered? First of all, he is Marka. Even though he is in one sign, he is basically a Marka. And Mars and Ketu are together. In general, Mars Ketu, Mars Rahu, Mars Saturn, these combinations are not good. Two malefics in Marka. And you may consider second lord is second to be strong, but Maraka in Maraka. Second lord is Maraka. For second lord to be in the second house, it makes him strong Maraka. So he shows big troubles. Moreover, they are associated with A6. The Arudha of the 6th house is right there. So there is a tangible disease that
But we won't know the mental disease though.
Pardon me?
Had we not known
we wouldn't, there is no way to guess that this is a mental problem. But you can conclude that when Ketu Dasha comes, at the onset of Ketu Dasha, there is some tangible disease. Because A6 is there, and in general, Ketu is the planet of
weird,
problems.
Nature, right?
Pardon me?
Ketu is planet of a weird nature.
Ketu is basically,
Headless nature.
Ketu is headless nature, and also when it comes to health, Ketu shows undiagnosable problems. Problems that are not like, oh, he got this bacteria, so give this antibacterial, he'll be all set. It will not be that kind of problems. These are problems that are tough to diagnose. You don't know why it happened. That kind of problems Ketu gives. And in general, he is not conducive to good health. If he has something to do with 6th house, 6th lord, A6, 8th house, 8th lord, A8, he will give some problem. He is happy to give some problem. That kind of planet is Ketu. So Mars and Ketu combination, also you can see that Mandi, Gulika, all the, it's basically a big gang in the Margasthana. It's not just Mars and Ketu, Mandi, Gulika, everybody is there. So because of this big gang of evil planets, you can conclude that there is some problem. And if you look at Trimshamsha to get more clarity, you see again, even there, they are in the, Ketu is in the 8th house, and he is the dispositor of Moon and Saturn. See, there is a Moon and Saturn combination.
Right.
Which shows some depletion of the mental faculty.
And moon debilitation.
Yeah, Moon debilitated, Saturn retrograde. So it's not at all a very pleasant combination in the Trimshamsha. And being their dispositor and being in the 8th house and having Papakartari on Mercury, who is in Palakasthana, Ketu can give all those results.
And is the
Who is with 8? He is the Lord of 8. Ketu.
Ketu.
oh, Ketu is Lord of 8.
Yeah. So overall, do you expect Jyothishya to get better? Is there any planet? How is the child now? How many years is he? Is the child?
No, she is now 2003 born. Right?
She is 2003 born, so
4 years, 3 months.
Approximately
4 years, 3 years basically.
Yeah.
So still very, very young. What is the Antardasha running right now?
It's
Rahu. Ketu Rahu. Does it have any potential for improvement? Not really. You just have to be honest.
They become worse actually.
Yeah, Rahu is basically in the 8th house, in the Rashi chart. Rahu is in the 8th house with Saturn. So basically Mars, Ketu, Saturn, Rahu, that combination is on the second 8th axis. The Maraka, the 8th house and Maraka, second house axis, it contains those 4 really, really evil planets. So it's not really pretty, it's not a pretty scene. Rahu is unlikely to cure. Even in Trimshamsha, he is in the 8th house. Again causing Papakartri and Mercury. So Rahu is definitely not a problem, not a part of the solution. He is a part of the problem. So Ketu Rahu is actually probably even worse than Ketu Mars or worse than Ketu Moon. It's worse than the previous period. This is definitely not a period when there can be improvement. How is Jupiter, which is going to come next year?
There are bad aspects of there.
Pardon me?
Jupiter has a bad aspect of Ketu Rahu. Right?
Yeah.
So that, and also it's combined with Mars. Right?
Yeah.
Jupiter is one house.
First look at the Rashi chart. If there is any physical relief, any physical signs of the person improving, it has to be visible in the Rashi chart also. So if you look at the Rashi chart, how is Jupiter there? What is Jupiter's agenda?
Actually, there is a parivartana between Moon and Jupiter.
There is a parivartana between Moon and Jupiter. Okay, excellent. So Jupiter will eventually act as though he is in Pisces. Suppose there was no parivartana. Is this a good Jupiter or bad Jupiter for health?
It's a bad Jupiter.
He is the 6th lord in the Arudha of the 8th house.
Right.
He is in A8.
Yeah.
So 6th and 8th, he has link with 2 Dusthanas. And 6th lord being in exaltation but retrograde. 6th lord's exaltation is bad. But 6th lord exalted and retrograde is equivalent to 6th lord debilitated. But that is good. That is kind of like reversal of the 6th house effect. So it may start badly, but eventually there can be some relief. That's what Jupiter suggests. The exalted retrograde Jupiter, who is the 6th lord. Okay? Had he been 9th lord, for example, exalted retrograde 9th lord, it would have been bad. For 9th lord to be exalted is good, but exalted and retrograde is basically like debilitated 9th lord, not so auspicious. So here, this is actually auspicious, but being the 6th lord in A8, he will give some suffering. But now let us consider the parivartana. After the exchange, Jupiter will give results as though he is in 6th house. 6th lord in the 6th house, is it good or bad?
For Jupiter is not good.
Well, for any planet, 6th lord in the 6th is good. It's Harsha Yoga.
Means Harsha Yoga, cheerfulness.
Yeah. Actually, for Harsha Yoga, benefic planets giving Harsha Yoga is better than malefic planets giving Harsha Yoga. Mars in 6th house, in one house, is actually not as powerful as Jupiter in own house. Mars in 6th house is always strong. There is no point. You will fight wars, etc. But Harsha Yoga is not about fighting wars. Harsha Yoga is about always being happy. It's about happiness and cheerfulness. That result is more prominent when the 6th Lord in the 6th house is actually a natural benefic like Venus or Jupiter or Mercury. So here, after the Parivartana gives its results, Jupiter is going to act as though he is in Pisces. So there is actually some scope for relief in the Jupiter Antardasha. But the problem is next Antardashas are of Saturn and Mercury. Ketu Saturn and Ketu Mercury are not so promising. So the best window of opportunity is 2007 September till 2008 August. That is the best window of opportunity. If that is gone, because even if there is some improvement, then things may not really be perfect still. Saturn and Mercury Antardashas may still be troublesome. What about the next Dasha? Venus Dasha will start in 2010 for this child, for this
Venus
girl.
is a Lagna Lord, so
How is Venus Dasha? Does he show any problems? Agreed that he is the 8th Lord, but he is Lagna Lord. So overall he is a benefic planet in the Rashi chart. And he has nice yogas with Mercury. He doesn't have any association with the 6th house, A6, 8th house. 8th house he has, agreed, but 6th house, A6, A8, he doesn't have any links with all those. So overall, in my judgment, Venus is basically a fine planet. And being Lagna Lord can actually show recovery from big problems. And in the Trimshamsha, he is Badhaka Lord, that is, Badhaka Lord sitting in Lagna is problem, but he doesn't have any other links with A6, A8, all these things, 6th house, 8th house. So overall, Venus Dasha shows promise. So Ketu Jupiter, there is some promise, but I'm looking more towards the Venus Dasha. Venus Dasha can really bring relief. The girl can make a lot of progress and then start behaving in a much more normal way when the Venus Dasha comes. But entire Ketu Dasha, the 7 years of Ketu Dasha looks terrible overall. So are there any other observations that you guys want to share?
Gandanta will be also.
Oh, somebody in Gandanta?
Moon is in Gandanta.
Oh, that is not good. Actually not just Gandanta, very, very deep Gandanta.
Deep Gandanta.
Yeah.
So
That
in
is
that
not
case, in the Gandanta case, do we see the Parivartana? No, right? Like Jupiter.
For me?
Do we consider that question we had?
Oh, you are saying if when the Parivartana gives its results, is the Gandanta going to...
Do any change?
To the best of my knowledge, we don't do anything like that. If a planet is in Gandanta, that mark is there on the forehead of the planet, irrespective of any other Parivartanas or any other combinations.
To moon.
Yeah, to moon. If your question is whether Jupiter will give the results of Gandanta, that's not right. Moon is in Gandanta, period. So, moon, but the thing is, those results of moon may be given in a Jupiter Dasha. That is a separate matter. But the result of Gandanta is basically moon's result. And the way Gandanta will give its results is based on the afflictions to moon in various charts. How is he in Shashtamsha, how is he in Trimshamsha. So now given that he is in Gandanta, the fact that he is being afflicted by Saturn in both D6 and D30, that becomes even more dangerous now. The fact that he is in Gandanta. That's a very good observation. Any other points? So actually they should have done some Shanti for the Gandanta. There is Gandanta Shanti, Gandanta Dosha Shanti is there. They should have done something when the baby was still young. They can do even now. You were saying something?
Still looking at that, Sun is in 12th house from AL, that is also is not good.
It's not that good, yeah.
In the sense that
Yeah.
people say that actually she's not going to be looked at
As somebody,
normal person.
as somebody, not normal. Sun doesn't really show a normal person. As an influential, as a big person, basically. The image, basically.
Not authoritative person.
Like that kind of image won't be there. That kind of authoritative, a big person kind of image won't be there. That's all you can say. That doesn't really reflect on mental stability. Mental stability is basically Moon and Mercury. It's the domain of Moon and Mercury. Sun is basically respect. So let me put it, instead of saying big person, etc., let me just say respect. When Sun is in 12th from Arudha, maybe there will be something lacking with respect to respect in the society. That's all. Not more than that.
Just two things.
Yeah.
One, it is easy for the child for them to have pearls on the child.
Mm-hmm.
So that can give some.
Why pearls?
To strengthen the moon, who is deeply.
The thing is,
affected.
if you wear pearl, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are strengthening moon. Whatever moon's results are, you are basically accentuating those results.
Okay.
Gemstone, if I wear emerald, for example, emerald and diamond.
Mercury the sun, right?
Yeah, Mercury and
It's your Mercury under the sun.
no, Mercury Dasha.
Mercury the sun.
I'm running Mercury Dasha, and Mercury and Venus are giving Rajoga in my chart. So I'm wearing emerald and
What is
diamond.
this when Mercury the sun started? Nothing.
I started much later. I started in Mercury Venus, but it broke and I wasn't too interested in it, so I just gave it up. But earlier this year, when I finished 108 days Chandi Patham, I wanted to buy something to my wife basically, because I can't give anything to Chandi. She is my Chandi. So I went to the jewelry shop and then I found this diamond emerald ring. My diamond emerald ring we tried to repair it in India a couple of times, but it broke always. So I found something, so I decided, okay, on an auspicious day I found it, so I'll just buy it. So I bought it. Just for a few months I've been wearing. I don't know how long I'll wear. I'll eventually get it off it very soon. Anyway, so Venus so if I wear emerald and diamond, it doesn't mean my Venus and Mercury are strengthened. What it means is, whatever result my Venus and Mercury are giving in my chart is being accentuated.
Okay.
You can say accentuating the result of a planet is equivalent to strengthening the planet, but that may be right. But don't think that you are strengthening the benefic aspects of that planet. If the planet is a bad planet, suppose I know somebody, she was engaged, she has Pisces Lagna, and she was engaged to be married to a particular person. She fell in love with somebody. Her father didn't like originally, but he said, okay, fine, get married and to that person. He went and talked to the boy, and he gifted some ruby necklace or something, or diamond, I forget which one, but he and also the boy, both of them gifted two necklaces. One had rubies, one had diamond, and the girl had Pisces Lagna. Rubies is basically sun's gemstones, right? 6th house, and diamond is Venus, 3rd and 8th house. So 6th house, and she was getting engaged, and the gift for engagement was from parents and from the would-be, from the fiancé, was 6th house and 8th house gems. Not even just a small ring, big necklaces having so many rubies and so many diamonds, and the engagement broke.
But she's not wearing that every day, right? If it is that way,
But
then
you-
she'll keep it in the.
That's true. But the thing is, at least for the engagement function, she must have worn. On an important day, the thing is, see, that is the other thing. Even if, whether you wear or not, if you possess something, a big necklace made of diamond, for example, you have it. It is yours basically. You have that association in your mind. Even if it is on my body, but I don't associate with it, I don't think that I am wearing it, it may actually not affect me. So even if I am not wearing it, if I think, oh, now I have a ruby necklace, oh, I have a diamond necklace, it's all these associations, they are not even physical. If it is at the mental level, if you have that association, it gives its result. So she was probably wearing for a day, she was probably very excited about those two really nice necklaces. And then very soon, within a few days, her engagement broke, and that they tried to save it, but it could not be saved. And then she was still actually she was wearing. They told me that she was still wearing. When they came to me, they said engagement broke. And then casually they mentioned. I think they mentioned to my wife. Probably mentioned that she was wearing these. They did not think that they had to mention it to me. They did not think it would be an important thing to mention. So I think my wife knew about it. She mentioned, and then I said, "Oh, is that right?" Then they said, "Yeah, she is wearing. Should she take them off?" So I remember now. She was maybe not daily, but she was actually wearing those because they were given by important
Did
people.
the thing get rectified after she stopped wearing?
No, actually that particular thing broke. She is still unmarried. That particular affair, love affair, basically broke. They could not basically patch up. But the thing is, what I was going to say was, of course, When she wore the diamond and ruby, the 6th and 8th lord were strengthened. But that strength is not really desirable. It basically broke the marriage. And the 7th house.
Strengthening moon is not definitely
So, instead of looking in terms of strengthening, see what is the planet's agenda. If the planet's agenda is good, then think of promoting the planet. Otherwise, you better pray to the planet. Instead of wearing a gemstone, you can pray to the planet.
That was the second one I was going to come with.
And by the way, just one comment. If you think that wearing the 8th Lord's gemstone, for example, Pisces Lagna, same example, wearing diamond is a bad idea. That's not necessarily true also. If you are trying to get married, it's a bad idea. If you are trying for material success, maybe that's a bad idea. But I know one case where one gentleman, he was a young man. He was in his early 20s at that time, and he was basically roaming. He was roaming with all kinds of bad company basically. Later he went on to become a very good yogi later. But at that age he was in bad company, and a Swami met him and he told him, you wear diamond ring, a big diamond ring on your index finger, on your right hand side index finger. And the moment from the day he wore it, he went on the spiritual path. He has Meena Lagna and Venus is the 8th lord. And the finger that was suggested was the index finger, which is, according to our tradition, is basically moksha. The middle finger is artha, the ring finger is dharma, the little finger is kama, and the index finger is moksha. So this Swami, he just walked to this person and said, this is not the way your life should be, you wear a diamond ring. So diamond is basically 8th lord's ring, and he had Venus in his chart, he has Venus in the 8th house. He has Venus in own sign, basically in Tula, and several other planets actually. He has a big planetary conglomeration in the 8th house, showing a tapasvi, showing somebody who does lot of sadhana. And once he wore it, it took him, basically it strengthened the 8th lord. And in that case, strengthening the 8th lord was not basically a bad at all, because he was destined to be on the spiritual path and become a very good yogi. It was actually good for him. So you should basically look at the case. It's a case by case kind of thing. You can't have a thumb rule that 8th lord's ring is always bad.
Even without wearing, won't it trigger off sometimes?
Pardon me? Well, when dashas come, things will trigger off. But this Swami wanted to accelerate it. So he gave the solution.
Explain the problem issue, like explain the process.
So the other thing is, as far as the Sattvic prayers are concerned, the parents to pray to Durga.
Okay, Durga. Why Durga?
I said Kali actually.
Why Durga? Why Kali?
Durga, because of Saturn, Rahu effect.
Moon and Saturn is the main problem. Of course, Mercury, Papakartari, all those things are there. Ketu's Dasha is running, maybe Ganesha. So many things can be prescribed. But the main weakness in the chart is Moon in Gandanta, in the 6th house of disease. That is one thing. And the Moon who is in Gandanta in the 6th house of disease also owns A8. And in D30 and D6 he is with Saturn. So Moon has to be basically, Moon's blessings are needed. So Mother's blessings are needed, Divine Mother. So it is some Divine Mother form. So that is a good guess. That is a good conclusion, good deduction. Now, who said Kali?
I said Kali because Scorpio, Saturn, Moon.
Yeah, very good. In general, if Moon needs to be propitiated, and Moon's main problem is that he is afflicted by Saturn, Kali is a very good suggestion.
And they are Bengali, so
Why not then? Perfect. I mean, if you suggest Kali to somebody who doesn't know Kali and who is scared of Kali, I know people, when they look at Kali, all those hands, all those, she's not wearing proper clothes and she's wearing all those skulls, she's black, she's scary at that tongue hanging out. Some people get put off by it. If somebody is put off by such imagery, maybe not the right goddess for them. But here you are saying they are from Bengal, so
they believe in. So
they believe in Kali,
was
so
another
perfect.
driving
Hmm?
That was another driving factor. Like I know.
Okay. Yeah, and astrologically also Kali is perfect. So,
How is Rahu with Durga?
pardon me?
How is Durga?
No, why
Kali
did
over
you say
Durga?
the moon Durga? I thought Rahu is a Durga.
Rahu is Durga.
But when you said the moon also is a good suggestion for Durga.
Oh, what I meant is moon.
Other form.
When there is a moon problem, some mother form is best suggested. Moon is the main problem here.
Right.
And also in D30 he is debilitated. So go with a motherly form, go with a female form. So go with mother. So Parvati, Durga, Namadurga, Vanadurga, whatever Durga you call. Kali, Chandi, Chamundi, some form, Bhuneshwari. So some form of the Divine Mother you have to go with. And then looking at the Saturn combination, Moon Saturn in Scorpio, Kali is the best. So if they pray to Kali for her well-being, it can give relief. Any other suggestions?
Non-astrological.
Yeah.
They can actually take Ayurveda. They have got the best medicines for mental retardation. Kotakal Ayurveda.
And then Venus period, Venus is being a best Ayurveda, guru of medicine.
Yeah. You don't have to wait till the period. Basically, you can start. Who knows? In Jupiter Antardasha, there may be some improvement. Maybe Venus Dasha may bring the full relief, but maybe some improvement may be there in Jupiter Antardasha. So you should just keep trying.
And after this, another question on this.
Yeah.
Not this chart, but then.
Yeah.
We talked about, we indicated sometime back that the Ketu in the one house who is a Maraka, he is becoming a double Maraka in this case.
Not double, strong
And a
Maraka.
strong Maraka.
A killer who is really, really strong.
He
Yeah.
is becoming strong.
Yeah.
How about for a Dhanur Lagna, Saturn in Makara?
Yeah.
Is it the same effect?
Yeah.
But he is also Vargotma. So
Whose chart?
It's
Your
my
chart?
No, I am just asking.
You are asking also, but he is also Vargotma. Also, I have all the data. But when you said Saturn in second house and Dhanulagna, I kind of guessed it was you.
I know
I didn't remember if you had Vargotma Saturn.
Right.
Yeah, he is a Marka.
It's still a Maraka.
He is a Marka. He is still a
So
Marka.
what is the effect of in such case for that? That means
See, the thing is, where is Arudha Lagna? In Makara, Kumbha, right?
Kumbha.
Jupiter is also with Saturn.
Hmm?
Right. Jupiter is also with Saturn? No.
No, Jupiter is not with that.
Leo? Where is Jupiter? You don't remember where is your Jupiter?
Where is my Jupiter? Second house. Yeah, it is
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what. He is with Saturn. That's why Kumbha is your Arudha Lagna. That's why I was saying. That's what I remembered. So, Arudha, so Saturn is in the 12th from Arudha. So, as far as Saturn is concerned, it's a Rajoga. Materially, that Saturn will give a Rajoga. Saturn in the 12th from Arudha is a Rajoga. But, he is also a Marka. When Saturn Dasha comes, you have to be careful basically. So,
Question about this. For deciding the Dasha, here we took Vimshottari because no other special
Yeah.
Dasha is applicable. So do we consider, like, just to recap, this Parivartana, like if you take a Parivartana, moon in 10th house,
yeah.
so 10th lord in 10th house.
Oh, no.
I don't think you want to consider Parivartana for deciding which Dasha to use.
Yeah. If there is a Parivartana, once you decide which Dasha you are using, in the Dasha interpretation you can use it. You can't say that this is 10th lord in the 10th house and so this Dasha applies. You can't do that. But you can give it a try in this example and a few examples. If you have, especially here you don't have a lot of events. In charts where you have a lot of events, you can give it a try. But that is not a standard approach. And it is on a little shaky ground. But it's a good thought. You can pursue it. Nothing wrong in pursuing reasonably logical thoughts.
On the Parivartana note, I don't know if you have covered this before. When Parivartana triggers, what will be the degree that we can assume for the planet after Parivartana to be in the other house? Because if there is a question where you have to consider how far they are, what do we assume that to be?
In that case, I will say consider the degree
he was
originally he was in. If he was originally very advanced in the sign, he is still originally very advanced in the sign, and vice versa.
So in this case, if we consider the Parivartana, we will take Jupiter at 18 Pisces.
Yeah.
And Moon in 29 here.
Yeah. Moon in 29 degrees Cancer, still in Karnataka. That's how you would consider.
When we said that it has a Shapai, right? Is it a maternal or?
Oh, we didn't actually look at any Shapas. We just said Shapa kind of combinations in Trimsamsa. Are there actually any Shapas here?
Yes,
Can you see?
Mercury has.
In the Rashi chart. Shapas you see in Rashi.
Not in any other chart.
Are there any Shapas in the Rashi chart?
The divisional chart. D30.
then forget it. They are not really shapas. Any other thoughts?
So what about D24?
D24? Good question.
Where, like,
Because we want to see how the learning will go.
that's one of the questions.
Right.
we had.
So how is
Lord
D24?
in fifth house.
Pardon me?
Even it is sixth Lord in fifth house.
Yeah. How is the learning? How is Lagna? First of all, is Lagna strong?
He's an inimical sign.
Yeah, Lagna has Saturn, Sun in an inimical sign. Lagna is not strong. Okay. But how is Lagna Lord?
Lagna Lord in 4th house.
He is strong. He is in a Kendra. Lagna Lord in a Kendra. One Lagna Lord. The other Lagna Lord is with 9th Lord. Rahu, Ketu and Venus are
But actually,
giving
Rahu is
Rajoga.
much stronger as a Lagna Lord here.
Yes. And he has nice Rajoga in the second house. And how is the...
But 4th house is the one we see primary education. And then 4th house.
Right.
8,
And how is 4th house?
Yeah,
It has several bad Arudhas.
right. So a lot of
A6 and A8 are there in the 4th house. And Saturn is Lagna Lord, so his situation in the 4th house is good, but he is retrograde. And especially he is also 6th and 8th Karaka. So when he is with those Arudhas, he may give the results of those Arudhas. A6 and A8 give lot of obstacles, lot of problems to overcome in the learning, in the basic learning. So there are some weaknesses as far as 4th house is concerned.
and one
But Dasha, which Dasha is running right now? Right now Ketu Dasha,
right.
right? But what is the Dasha that is going to run later?
Jupiter opposite Saturn, maybe that.
No,
is
Dasha is Venus Dasha, right?
Right, yeah.
From 2010, Venus Dasha will run. How is Venus? He is basically the 4th Lord who is an exaltation.
Right.
So even though Saturn, A6 and A8, all of them being in Taurus is not so auspicious, Venus owning the 4th house and being exalted is quite auspicious, right? So, when Venus Dasha comes, and also Venus is in A11,
Right.
so when Venus Dasha comes, you can expect some
Good.
acceleration in the education. Until then, it may be slow, but Venus may accelerate the education.
And then when one class we said Saturn is not a great giver.
Yeah.
So even though he is
In general, yeah, even though he is Lagna Lord, he is not a great giver. He tends to deplete things. Moreover, when he sees A6 and A8 there, he is basically the Karaka for 6th and 8th houses. And their manifestation is right there. So he says, okay, let's do it. So he will basically act more like the 6th and 8th Karaka than the Lagna Lord in such a case. That's the problem. But how is the later education? How is...
But the Venus, don't you think the Venus got afflicted with the two malefics there?
Yes,
It can
he has
still
affliction.
give you a good result?
Still, it doesn't, yes, that affliction is still there. But there are also the Lagna Lord, 10th Lord, 9th Lord and 4th Lord. So it's a Rajoga also. So I am actually more positive about Venus. And if you look at the next level, the bachelor's level education, Mars is the controlling planet. The 9th house, it contains Mars in it. And he is the 10th Lord. The 10th Lord in the 9th house, so some professional engineering kind of education is possible. So even though this girl may start off very poorly, she may do reasonably well at the end of the day.
And also even the master should be good because the second house is so strong.
but this time leverage is 1 minute. Like
Yeah, let's leave it then. In that case, let's not make any further comments. But let them worship Kali. That will definitely be very auspicious. And in general, if you look at the Lagna Lord, apart from see, if you want control over disease, you can pray to the deity who controls the planets who are giving the disease, and also pray to the planets who are giving relief basically. So Lagna Lord is Venus, right? Venus is the Lagna Lord. So she can pray to Lakshmi. Venus and Mercury are together.
right.
So Lakshmi Narayana. So apart from Kali, if you prays to Lakshmi Narayana, Kali will kill the weakness and Lakshmi Narayana will increase the strength. So it's a twofold process basically. So Lakshmi Narayana also I will suggest.
Then could we also...
You know what actually, yeah.
Could you also suggest a diamond ring for her? For the kid?
Yes. Diamond ring will be good. Yes. good suggestion. This is a good suggestion. Good. Not the last one. No. Pearl.
So we keep trying and see.
Well, you didn't keep trying, you just tried twice, so that is good. If you keep trying and finally get a good one, that's not good enough.
Cover all the.
Okay, this year, pearl year. Next year, ruby year. Oh, didn't work? Now try red coral. Then within 9 years, there will be results. Yeah, diamond can be won. And the thing is, in such cases, getting some help from gemstones is not really a bad idea, even though we say sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. I mean, just give a push in the beginning, not a bad idea. So she can wear diamond. Wear diamond, read, pray to Lakshmi Narayana, or maybe even read Narayana Kavacham. That will be very, very helpful, Narayana Kavacham. Any other comments?
Unfortunately, our father is doesn't believe in God, but this is from her
Mother.
grandfather.
I see.
So
Oh, I see. Okay. As long as there is somebody who cares about her, who believes in God, who is capable of doing something, you can suggest something. Any other points? Any other comments?
So we had when we look at the parent side, we had a question in that chart in the D12.
Which chart?
In the same chart, when we were
We
looking
were
at the
trying to rectify the chart by
Yeah.
looking at date 1.
Looking at D12. Okay.
so
Yeah.
the question was when we look at the parent, Vijay she was saying that ninth house we start from ninth house as a lagna for the father.
Mm-hmm.
But
What he
my
said,
understanding was we are.
L9.
I said L9.
Yeah.
So can we refresh that?
You can look at both, but if you want to draw conclusions about father as a separate person, what his thinking is, what his attitude is.
Intelligence, you are going to look at L9.
Yeah, if you want to look at his attitude, for example, L9 is the best.
Right.
But if you want to see what kind of guidance father is giving him, what is the relationship with the father, then you better look at the ninth house. Not the tangible aspect, how it's manifesting to the world. Does the world see that father and son have a strong bond or not? That you look at A9. But if you want to just look at the guidance that the father is giving, the role that the father is playing in the life of the native, then look at the ninth house itself as Lagna. But father as a separate intelligent person, separate living being, with an attitude, with an intelligence, etc., for that L9 is the best. So
He's saying he doesn't believe in God. So
Okay.
we see it from L9.
yeah, that should be seen from L9. So how do you, where is L9? L9 is in Cancer, right? Ninth house is Virgo, and how much leeway do we have?
That's a very 5 minutes.
Yeah. So the ninth lord is Mercury, he is in Scorpio. From ninth lord, ninth house is in the 11th house. Taking 11th from the ninth house, we get Cancer. So L9 is in Cancer. Okay. So take Cancer as Lagna to see what kind of a person, what attitude the father has, what kind of a person the father is. So looking at that, first of all, to see whether he is religious or not. What is the house for religiousness?
9.
Ninth house.
Karma. Yeah.
Ninth house of Dharma. How is the ninth house of Dharma? Ketu is good, Venus is exalted, but is there any problem there? Is there Badha Lord in the ninth house? Is Badha Lord in the ninth house a good combination for religiousness? Badha Lord in the ninth house is a combination for somebody who breaks idols. If don't take it literally, it's basically a classical dictum. Badha Lord in the ninth house, it shows breaking idols. It doesn't literally mean go to a temple, get an idol and break it. But basically,
Not believing.
doesn't believe in God. In some cases, may even break the idols also. That is also possible. So Badhaka and ninth house link is never good. So that is one thing. That is one aspect. The ninth lord, the Badhaka lord is in the ninth house, and Rahu is aspecting him, right?
Right.
Rahu is basically the planet of logic, the planet of materialism, etc. And here he happens to be the 8th lord. Rahu is the 8th lord. 8th is basically not conducive to religion. 9th is religion. 8th is 12th from there. It's basically giving up religion. So, owning the 8th house, that Rahu aspecting the 9th house is not so good. And aspecting the Badhaka lord is even worse. So, that is one thing. And unluckily, if the 9th lord was strong, had some controlling influence on either Venus or Rahu, he could have rescued. But 9th lord Jupiter is retrograde in a inimical sign, in Rahu's sign, and he is in 8th house. So he is also not really capable of rescuing the 9th house. So overall 9th house is quite weak. So because of these reasons and also Rahu influence, he probably doesn't believe in God. Okay, any other questions?
But we looked at 9th house as that, and then we analyzed
Yeah.
the person.
From 9th house, what you can see is 9th house has, taking 9th house as Lagna, Lagna has Rahu in it, right?
And we say, because he is very
So-
very intelligent and very very stubborn. I mean, not stubborn, like very adamant kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Then he is very intelligent, so research oriented. Like
Mm-hmm.
he is top one IIT is like that.
Mm-hmm.
So then we thought like 9 because Rahu is in place, and then
First of all, let's see stubbornness. Taking Cancer as Lagna, can you say that he is stubborn? Can you say that he is stubborn? How do you see the stubbornness or lack of it, basically? Which house will show it? How strongly determined somebody is?
third house.
Third house.
Third house.
So, taking L9 as Lagna, Rahu is in the third house. So, will that show somebody who is
Very firm.
adamant or somebody who is not so adamant?
Adamant.
And how do you see the overall intelligence? Which house for overall intelligence of the person?
Fifth house.
Fifth house.
Yes.
If you take Virgo, fifth house is Saturn born and occupied. If you take Virgo as Lagna, Saturn is the fifth lord. But take Cancer as Lagna, L9. That is the real intelligence of the person. Virgo is only the role the person plays in the life of the child. So take
Virgo because of 9th house.
Yeah, if you take Virgo because it's 9th house, that only shows the role played by father in daughter's life.
Nature's life, yes.
But L9 if you take, how is the 5th house? Is 5th house strong? 5th house has Mercury in it.
Yeah.
Strong. Very good.
In general, 5th house having Mercury, there is some level of intelligence. Mercury and Jupiter are conducive to intelligence. And he being in the 5th house of intelligence, that is good. That too in a Martian sign. Martian signs are very quick basically, very fiery. So Mercury is in a fiery sign in the 5th house, so basically an intelligent person. And stubbornness does make sense based on Rahu in the 3rd house.
We'll say Rahu in 3rd house will be more stubborn, or Rahu in Lagna itself will be more stubborn.
Rahu in
3rd house will make him more stubborn, or being
both can
Lagna-
make a person stubborn. But for stubbornness, just Rahu in Lagna is not sufficient. Along with it, the 3rd house has to be fortified. 3rd is the house of stubbornness. 3rd is the house of initiative and determination. How determined you are to push your agenda. That is from 3rd house, not Lagna.
not Lagna.
If some kind of karaka of that house has influence on your Lagna, basically that attitude is etched on your consciousness, on your character. But it's not sufficient to make you very stubborn. 3rd house has to be influenced by Mars, Rahu, etc. By the way, Mars is aspecting. It's not just Rahu in the 3rd house. Mars is aspecting. Mars is the karaka
Right.
for 3rd house. So Rahu in 3rd house aspected by Mars. So that is what makes him stubborn. Is he somebody who's, forget it. Any other points? Any other comments about father?
Doesn't get along with people.
Okay, he doesn't get along with people.
There are a lot of
Because Rahu is there in day 7.
Forget the A7. A7 is not father. Take L9.
L9.
Take L9. From there, 7th house. You can't really make very fine judgments about father and mother from the Dvadashamsa. You can make general judgments. In general, What are the influences on the 7th house? Are there any planets aspecting it? Are there any planets occupying it? And how is the owner? These are the simple things that we will look at. First of all, any planets occupying it? No. Any planets aspecting it?
Mars has 8th house aspect.
Mars has 8th house aspect, Rahu has 5th house aspect. So Mars and Rahu are aspecting it. And Saturn, of course, 7th Lord Saturn. Mars, Saturn, Rahu. Are these influences conducive to good relations?
Very good relation.
Mars shows aggressive attitude, Rahu shows Rahu shows cheating kind of attitude, Saturn shows suspicious kind of attitude. So it's not really conducive to good relations.
That's what people feel also.
So that is the thing. And also if you look at Saturn, the 7th Lord, he is basically retrograde, but he is exalted. He is not bad actually. So 7th Lord Saturn's position is not really the weakness. The weakness is 7th house being aspected by all those male ships. That's the main weakness. Whereas if you take Virgo as Lagna, even though Ketu is in the 7th house, exalted Venus in the 7th should give some tactfulness.
Right.
But here, if you take Cancer as Lagna, there is absolutely no tactfulness. As far as dealing with people is concerned, it's very dry, very matter of fact. It's basically ruled by Capricorn. Capricorn is very practical, very dry, very Saturnine basically. And the fact that Mars and Rahu are adding their energies to it, it doesn't make it any better. Any other points? How is the career of the person?
Sixth is Jupiter.
How is the career?
Second, 6th, 10th.
Yeah, look at 2, 6 and 10. If you look at the 6th house, 6th Lord Saturn is in the 10th house.
But we want to see a detail.
Sorry, 6th Lord Jupiter is in what? Oh, we don't have D10 of father.
So we are looking at from.
So we are just looking at Dvadashamsa, just making general.
6th Jupiter is
6th Lord Jupiter
in the 8th house.
is in the 8th house. So what does that show? He is actually quite strong. If you look at the 10th house,
Gajekesari yoga is there, right?
pardon me?
No.
There is
What
Jupiter
yoga?
and Moon and Gajekesari yoga.
Yeah, Gajekesari Yoga. Yes, Gajekesari Yoga in the 8th house.
8th house.
And moreover, they are also Lagna and 9th Lord. 9th is also the house of fortune. So, Lagna Lord and 9th Lord in the 8th house, that can be fortune in a faraway place also. Even if you look at Rashi, look at the 10th house, the 10th Lord Mars is actually Yokaraka. From Cancer, Mars is Yokaraka. And he is in the 12th house. When Yokaraka is in the 12th house, you should advise the person to leave the homeland. If you leave the homeland, there can be fortune. And also, the Raj Yoga given by Moon and Jupiter is in the 8th house, in a Dusthana. That also shows Raj Yoga in a faraway place. But in general, looking at the 2, 6 and the 10th house, you see that 8th house is standing out. Saturn is 8th Lord, of course 7th Lord also, but 8th Lord in 10th house. And 6th Lord Jupiter is in 8th house. So both 6th and 10th are connected with the 8th house. Does everybody get it?
Right.
So there is a strong connection with the 8th house. And also Gajekesari Yoga is there. So 8th house related career is possible. So research, digging into things, astrology. Of course, I know that he is not an astrologer from what you have told me so far. But it's a possibility just based on this.
After the years, now we may become.
Okay. Any other points?
Because the 8th house is standing out in terms of his father. We have looked at that related to career, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, learning point of view, like with the 5th Lord in 8th house, then we say that it will be learning astrology or something.
No, but since we are now relating it with 10th house, his karmic activity, this is more like not just the profession, but as a karmic activity, it could reflect.
Yeah, I mean, there is no way you can look at the Dvadashamsa and confidently say that father is an astrologer. There is no way. Just a possibility. Jupiter in the 8th, possibility. But some kind of research, those are definitely possible. Those things make sense. And the fact that Jupiter is so strong, the 6th Lord Jupiter is so strong, can mean it will be somebody who is in a very powerful position, not in a solar kind of power. This is Jupiterian power. So this is influence seen as an intelligent person basically. Sees as the wise sage in the group basically. That is the image of Jupiter. That is the kind of position Jupiter gives. Whereas Sun, the king who makes the calls basically. Whereas Jupiter, the minister who gives the right advice. So that kind of career basically. Any other points? Okay, any other charts? Actually, let us restart.
About the recording.
Yeah.
One of the times when you were recording,
Yeah.
what happened is 2 classes back,
Yeah.
when you restarted, it did not restart.
Mhm.
At the end, when you stopped, that's when it started
I
recording.
see, I see.
So we lost the second half.
So is it recording now?
You have to see
The L and R are moving. That is mean it's recording. How do I tell it's recording?
Yeah, the red dot. That's a
Where
black
is
dot
it?
on black circle.
Oh, black circle is recording.
Yes.
Oh, now I know. Okay, I'll keep
Plus,
looking.
you also see those 2 green lights at the bottom blink.
Yeah, yeah, they are blinking. Okay. Okay. Any other points? Any other chart that you want to see?
Yeah, one more.
Yes, go ahead.
December 15, 1988,
1988,
5:42 p.m.
5:42 p.m.
Framingham, Manchester.
Birmingham, Massachusetts. So the data is December 15, December 15, 1988, 17:42, that means 5:42 p.m. The time zone is 5 hours west of GMT, right?
Yes.
And the place is Birmingham. 71 degrees, 25 minutes west, 42 degrees, 16 minutes, 45 seconds north. How should I save it?
Example chart. Vijay.
That's what she told me.
Vijaya's
Already there was
another example. Vijaya's example.
Example2.com.
Can you give some qualities of the person? I'll just put it in the bracket so that some salient points.
He has some mental problems.
equivalent and
OCD. You can write
Mental problem.
Yes.
So we are having the class when Moon is with Ketu and we are looking at mental problem charts today. Today Moon is with Ketu.
Can you see how far the Lagna is?
Yeah, 1 second.
Why am I getting 21 degrees 17 minutes?
21 degrees, 17 minutes. I don't know what stage should be. This is his computer.
38, right? You give.
Okay, second slide.
Yeah,
Is it 5:42:38?
Yes.
Okay. So the time is actually 5 hours, 42 minutes, 38 seconds.
So what did you find different from what is here? What are you
No, now she is fine.
Now
The seconds, she did not tell the seconds. So the time she had and the time I had was off by 38 seconds. That made a difference in the Lagna, obviously, a little bit.
I was worried about what did I do on my
Now you have me married. Okay, you have Lahiri and Amsa. Good. Okay.
This is a high school student.
Yeah? High school, 1 second, let me save. High school student.
Recently he is diagnosed with OCD.
Recently diagnosed with what?
OCD.
Oh?
Obsessive
What is it?
disorder. OCD.
OCD. What is it called? What does it stand for?
Obsessive
Obsessive.
compulsive disorder.
Uh-huh. I think the name suggests what it could be, but can you give an explanation of what it means?
He washes his hands so frequently.
Uh-huh.
So he does same thing so many times.
Uh-huh.
Obsession about something.
Obsessive
So
disorder.
he is obsessed with certain activities, he keeps doing them
Keeps doing.
a lot. I see. Okay. So he was recently diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. And he gets obsessed with some activities like washing his hands, he does so many times. So
It's a hereditary.
it's a hereditary thing. From father or mother?
Mother's side.
So hereditary from mother's side.
Mother doesn't have any mental problem, but grandfather has depression and some mental problem.
Maternal grandfather
Has depression.
has depression and some mental problems.
Yes.
Oops. What is this?
Hereditary means in the immediate parents.
Okay. Okay.
He has been on medication for the last 3 weeks.
On medication for the last 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Okay.
Actually, he had
Today is October 16, right? Okay.
Actually, in 1999, 2002 and 2003, he was very angry with his mother.
He was very angry with his mother in 1999, 2002 and 2003.
2003.
Okay.
And then 2004 he was better, but again he's showing some.
2004 he got better,
Yes.
but again problems.
What happened between 2000 and 2001?
He was.
He was okay.
So there were bouts of this in 99, 2002 and 2003. Okay, 2004 he got better, but again now in 2006 he is showing problems. But he is taking medication for it. Okay.
So his mother wants to know whether it's a lifelong problem.
Only a few years problem. Okay. So mother is interested in knowing whether there is cure, he will be fine finally, or whether he has to live with this for the entire life. Okay.
She wants some remedies.
She wants some remedies. Can she do pujas, etc.?
She can.
Okay. So she wants some remedies also. So let us give some remedies.
First we analyze the chart, why the problem has come, that's what we...
Okay.
Actually, when she showed me that chart, I immediately asked, does he have any anxiety problem because Rahu and Moon.
Moon and Rahu together. Okay. Very good. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah.
And even Mercury, the Lord of Lagna, is in Manakarakasthana in 7th house.
Right. And he is afflicted by Sun and Saturn.
Sun and Saturn.
Right. Very good. Excellent.
So, indeed,
And out of those Sun and Saturn, Sun is in Gandanta, extreme deep Gandanta. Okay. So Lagna Lord is afflicted by 8th Lord Saturn and extremely deep Gandanta Sun. Right. And Moon is with Rahu. Okay. So
Actually, when she gave the puzzle, I asked her whether he has a bones problem.
good guess.
It was a
Sun.
puzzle, so he did tell me the problem.
Yeah. Good.
The
Very
sun
good.
in Gandanta, and then
Sun can give bone problems. Okay.
Sun is both. I thought Sun will give stomach problem. What is
Sun can give digestive problems also, but Sun stands for bones. Moon stands for blood.
it?
Mars is nerves, etc. So, good guess. So, what is the dasha? What dasha were you using?
Moon and Rahu here. So why do you say that will give you some kind of mental because of the moon? I understand.
In general, Moon afflicted by Saturn or Rahu, you can expect some kind of
Saturn or Rahu. Okay.
Saturn, Rahu, even Mars. But the thing is, Saturn and Rahu are worse. Saturn, Rahu and Ketu are worse. If Mars is afflicting, it's not really a big problem. It shows a lot of aggression. That's all. It can be actually good also. But suppose Mars and Saturn are afflicting Moon in Trimshamsa, it is terrible. Because Mars is pulling in the aggressive direction, Saturn is pulling in the going into a shell direction. So there is a conflict, and that conflict eventually will blow up into something,
But
some
that can
problem.
happen in any that combination in any chart.
That combination in Rashi is also terrible. But if you see it in Trimshamsa, you should be very careful. There is something going on in the chart.
Mars, Saturn combination.
Yeah, Mars, Saturn, Rahu, those malefics basically ganging together is never good, especially in Trimshamsa.
Actually, he was Rahu in 9th Lord, so I didn't expect much. Like even though it's not that great position for Rahu.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Lagna Lord is in.
But the thing is, Moon is the Lord of A6.
Right.
So there is some link with A6. As long as there is some link with the 6th house, A6, A8, etc., there can be some problems given by that planet. So Moon being the Lord of A6, being with Rahu, it basically adds wind to the fire. What were you saying?
Mercury is also in Balakasthana.
Yeah, Mercury, Sun, Saturn, all of them are in Badakasthana.
All of them are in
Yeah. Now what dasha is running?
Saturn.
Problems, all these mental problems in Saturn dasha, does it make any sense?
Yeah, because he is 8th Lord he is also the 8th Lord
Mm-hmm.
and also Karka for disease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
He is in Badhakasthana. 8th Lord in Badhakasthana, afflicting Lagna Lord.
And he has third aspect on moon.
Yeah. Good.
He's also 9th Lord, right?
Yes, he is also 9th Lord. Excellent.
So it's
Yeah, he is also 9th Lord.
not terrible. So.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but he is with he is with Sun. He is with his enemy Sun. So even though he is 8th Lord and 9th Lord, and basically he wants to give some 9th house results also, being with Sun, he is not happy there. So the unhappy results of 8th house are more likely to be given. And if you look at Trimshamsa, again he is ganging with all these guys, Rahu and Ketu,
And aspecting Lagna.
and aspecting Lagna.
So it's a Parivartana in both the charts, right? Same Lagna in both charts.
Not Parivartana.
No, I'm sorry.
Vargotama.
Vargotama, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but Vargotama you see in Navamsa. How is Navamsa? How is Navamsa? No, it's not Parivartana in Navamsa. So shall we use what dasha should we use in this chart? Anybody? Vimshottari, or is there another dasha that's applicable? Dvisaptara Samadasha. So if you see the Dvisaptara Samadasha, what is the dasha running now? What is the dasha? Sun. So the Sun giving problems, does it make sense?
Also,
Not only-
it is Rahu before this.
For me?
It is Rahu at the time when the problem happened.
So Rahu started the problem. 99 that time, that was Rahu Jupiter. So during the Rahu period, problem started, and during Sun period there is no solution. I mean, problem is recurring basically.
And they diagnosed recently, you said, right?
She says 2002, 2003 and again in 2006. So Rahu, the problem started, the sea started, which makes sense because Rahu is with moon and also in Tripshamsa he is aspecting Lagna. But Sun is giving big problems. Why is Sun giving big problems? In the Rashi chart he is in deep Gandanta. He is in Mola, right?
Right.
He is in Niradish Nakshatra. He is at half degree Sagittarius. So whenever you see any planet in deep Gandanta, you should be very wary of that planet. Something has to be done about that planet. Especially if it is like Lagna, Moon and Sun, or Lagna Lord in Gandanta. Because these are the fountains of your existence basically. Lagna, Lagna Lord, Sun, Moon, and maybe Moon sign Lord. So any of them in Gandanta you have to be very careful. So here Atmakaraka Sun is in Gandanta, deep Gandanta, and afflicting Mercury and joined by Saturn. So Sandasha, till the end of Sandasha, things are not so, you can't say that Sun will cure because it's unlikely. Sun is problematic planet here. So with remedies, he can be under control. So Sun seems problematic. But how about the next dasha? Actually before that, one second. How is Sun in the Trimshamsa? Does he have anything going on in the Trimshamsa?
Also, one thing when
Sun
Yeah.
is in third Lord, 11th.
Yes.
when she said 2000 to 2003, that runs with Sun.
Yeah.
Also Sun Antardasha. So
Yeah.
that period was what is indicated.
That was particularly bad. Is Sun causing any affliction in the Trimshamsa? Is Sun causing any affliction to Moon? Because mind,
They are in
Sun is aspecting Moon. Sun is basically a malefic aspecting Moon. An exalted malefic. He is natural malefic as well as functional malefic. And he is aspecting, and also the fact that he is in Gandanta in Rashi chart, whenever he is aspecting somebody in Trimshamsa or some bad chart, Shashtamsa, the weakness he is causing is basically multiplied by the fact that he is in Gandanta in the Rashi chart. Always keep that at the back of your mind. He is basically an evil planet here. And his aspect on Moon, what would Sun's aspect on Moon give? Sun is the planet of authority, decision maker. Mars is basically aggression. Saturn is sadness. Right? So, in another chart where Saturn was with Moon, you had basically depletion of the mental faculty. Mind was not growing fast. So, that kind of problems you expect if Moon is with Saturn or Rahu. But here in this Trimshamsa, moon is with sun. What kind of problem that can sun cause?
You try to be now become authoritative and very
Yeah, basically,
try to take over people.
not only people, we are talking about his own moon here. So basically, there is that authoritative attitude
In the mind.
being used to control the mind basically. So the problem that she mentioned is, what is it? OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So it is basically something very fiery, something very, he is obsessed with something and he has to do it. So is it Saturnine and Rahu like, or is it Mars and Sun like? From the description of the problem, I don't fully understand the problem, but from the description, obsessive compulsive disorder, does it sound more like Sun and Mars kind of problem?
It's not a depression.
It's not depression.
Yeah.
It's like unnecessary aggression basically. Unnecessary.
It's more to do with
It's
the
uncontrollable
Mars and
aggression,
Sun.
right? You cannot control.
It's not even exactly aggression.
Aggression.
It's basically some problem with extra control basically. Over control. Overly controlling problem. Over control of the mind in a particular way. And that is possible with Sun. Sun is the controller. Sun is the king.
It's more than Sun. It is, I think, the Mars in this particular case that could make sense.
Mars is also affecting moon, both
Because-
Sun and
because
Mars.
Mars is the
But the thing is, if there is a Martian affliction of moon in Trimshamsa, what I would expect is extra aggression, fighting with people, not being able to control his anger. This is more than anger, this is basically unnecessary control basically over the mental faculty.
He is angry with his mother, like moon is a mother.
That can be shown by the fact that Mars is aspecting moon. Uncontrollable anger towards people, that has to be Mars basically. Sun can also show some anger, but Sun is more than anger, control basically. Sun is the king, natural king of the zodiac. So here,
And that obsessiveness will be coming, is it to do with anything to do with Chararasi?
I'm not
Sun
sure.
being in
I'm not
Chararasi?
sure. I'm not sure.
Obsession is mostly because of Rahu. Rahu gives obsession.
Rahu gives addiction.
Addiction.
You can look at obsession as an addiction, but obsession is slightly different from addiction. Rahu is the planet. Rahu and Saturn are the planets of addiction, weakness. And Sun and Mars are the planets of aggression. And obsession is basically in between. I'm not fully sure. But the thing is, the interesting thing is, in the other case you had Saturn and Rahu afflicting the moon, and here
Mars and
Saturn afflicting the moon, and here you have Sun and Mars afflicting the moon. That too exalted Sun, an exalted functional malefic and natural malefic. Any other points? Now, coming to the cure, is it likely to be cured in the Sandasha? Is it likely to be cured in the Sandasha? In my honest judgment, I will not expect so. Because in Trimshamsa he is not really showing anything positive, and in Rashi especially he is in deep Gandanta. He is unlikely to cure. So Sandasha unlikely to find perfect cure, full cure. Anybody disagrees?
So the whole dasha, right? Whole dasha is.
Yeah, I mean there may be some other dashas where the problem will be subsiding, maybe
and
some other
down, up and
dashas where problem will be coming back, but fully cured and he is fine. That kind of thing is unlikely in Sandasha. Because Sun is problem planet. He is actually the worst planet in the Rashi chart, being in Gandanta. What about the next dasha of moon? How about moon dasha? How is he in the Rashi chart? He is the A6 Lord, afflicted by Rahu. Can such moon, can he give full recovery? And also in Trimshamsa he is afflicted by these planets, Mars and Sun. So can moon actually give perfect cure? Let's just be honest. We don't want to give just false hopes. Just honestly, is moon likely to give full cure? Unlikely. During moon dasha also some mental problem is likely to remain. How about the next dasha of Mars? Is Mars likely to give any kind of cure? How is Mars in the Rashi chart? He is the 6th Lord and 8th Lord. And also in Trimshamsa he is aspecting moon. If anything, the material manifestation of his problem and also his aggressive attitude towards people can increase during that dasha.
In sense also he is still the sixth lord.
Yeah, he is the sixth lord, afflicting. He is the sixth lord, he is the eighth lord, and he is afflicting moon. So it's not pretty. Sun, moon, and Mars periods don't look pretty to me. How about Mercury period?
Mercury is Lagna Lord.
He is the Lagna lord in both the charts.
Right.
Pardon me?
But he's in Manaka.
He is in Manakarka Sthana. He is extremely weak. But if anybody wants to cure this guy, who is he? Mercury. Mercury is the one who wants to cure him. Even Saturn, even though he is ninth lord, he is also the eighth lord. He probably doesn't want to cure him.
He has mixed agenda.
Yeah, but Mercury, Lagna lord and fourth lord, he wants to cure the guy. So, after 2029, which is long way, you don't want to probably tell that to his mother, but until 2029, one problem may go, another problem may come, another similar problem may come, so it may be on and off. But my judgment is, until 2029, there is no full cure for this person. He has to be on this medication or on that medication and keep controlling his emotions until then. That is my judgment. But if you want some improvement, apart from the medications that the doctors are giving, apart from all those poisons that are going into his body.
His father is a doctor.
Mm-hmm. So,
I don't want to go for any alternative medicine. Then he wants to use.
No, I'm not suggesting alternative medicine. What I'm saying is, apart from all the poisons that are going into his body, which have to keep on going into his body for a while, are there any prayers now? So let us look at the remedies.
And this, he doesn't believe in religion. This,
The father
no,
or the person.
son, yes.
Okay, son doesn't believe in religion.
So, he may not do any.
He may not do
mantra
anything,
or
but mother may do.
Mother can do.
Okay. Let us quickly look at mother.
In this case, the cases where the person is old enough and he doesn't believe in
Yeah.
religiousness like this,
Yeah.
can you suggest alternative things like putting on a light at this time or
Putting on?
putting on a
Yeah, you
light
can
or
suggest.
some such things?
You can suggest, but if he doesn't believe in God,
He doesn't
He
listen
believes
also.
in God, but he doesn't believe in religion.
yeah,
It's
then
different.
putting light, doing this, doing that, he may or may not.
No,
do.
because these are the remedies that if there is an American who comes, maybe these are the remedies that you would suggest.
I know, but the thing is, the question here is not Indian versus American. The question is, one who wants to do rituals, one who doesn't want to. One who wants to do some procedure that you suggest, another one who will think, how can that procedure result in some result? It's all nonsense. If somebody thinks it's all bogus, then you can't do anything about him. You can tell to somebody else who may do it for that person, who has that attachment to that person. So, you can tell the mother.
Can you see that he is adamant about this religion or only certain dasas causing him to not to believe in it? The ninth Lord Rahu,
Ninth house has Rahu in it, in Manakarka Sthana. Ninth Lord is in Manakarka Sthana, point number 1. So that is not so conducive in the Rashi. But look at Vimshamsha, that is the real key to the religiousness of a person. If you want to judge the religiousness of a person, Vimshamsha is the real key. How is Vimshamsha? How is the ninth house here? The ninth Lord is in 8th from 9th. Right? The ninth Lord Mercury is in the 8th house from the 9th house. So he is not that strong. Mercury is not that strong. Ninth Lord is not that strong. And how is Lagna Lord Venus? He is in the 5th house. He is with Jupiter and Saturn. There is some hope. When the right dasas come. But overall, looking at the Rashi.
But why did you consider taking 9th house and
That is a religion. Right?
Because 9th house is organized religion.
Right, but that we can now see that the 9th Lord is in 4th house, that is pretty good.
Yeah? 9th Lord?
In 4th house is good.
But 9th Lord is in the 8th from 9th.
Taking that as Lagna.
And the thing is, if you are talking about organized religion, it's not even 9th house. What is the house for organized religion? A9. It's a tangible religion, basically. So where is A9? How is A9? Is it in Badhaka Sthana? It's like I told you earlier, Badhaka Lord going into 9th house, 9th Lord going into Badhaka, all these are bad. Similarly, A9 going into Badhaka Sthana in Vimshamsha is not conducive to following organized religion. Moreover, not only is A9 in Bhajakasthana, which other Arudha is joining it? A8. A8 and A9 are together. So it's not really conducive to the Mrityapada is with the Arudha of the 9th house, Dharmapada. So he won't follow the standard material kind of dharma, the standard tangible kind of dharma. He is not a religious person. So overall there is some hope. Venus with Jupiter in the 5th house. There is some hope when their dashas come. But in general, this is not the chart of somebody who may actually turn into a religious person later on. We have seen some charts earlier where the person has the potential to turn into a very good religious person later on. But this is not such chart. So let's not bother about it. Let us just suggest to mother. Let us just tell the mother what to do. So actually not this. Let us go back to the Trimshamsa. Which deity can the mother pray to?
Mercury. It had to strengthen the Mercury. That's the only savior, right?
You have to strengthen the Mercury, and also you have to pray to the guy who is actually causing trouble.
The moon.
No, sun.
Whose?
No, sun,
Moon.
yeah,
Moon is
Shiva,
causing.
Shiva.
Moon is weak actually. Moon is causing trouble too. Moon with Rahu, that's A6 Lord is causing trouble. But the biggest trouble is sun. Pardon me?
Trouble is caused by Rahu more than
Rahu is not really causing trouble. Rahu is only irritating Moon. And Moon is A6 Lord.
because being A6 Lord, yes.
So because of that, being irritated by Rahu, he is giving the disease. So it's actually, I will consider Moon to be the main problem planet. The fact that he is in Rahu's sign with Rahu is not helping, but Moon is the main problem. And if you look at the current dasha, it is Sun dasha, and Sun is in Gandanta like we said earlier. So it is Sun that you have to propitiate. Who should you pray for Sun?
Shiva.
Okay. Pardon me?
Shiva devotee.
Okay, Sun you can pray to Shiva. Sun in Moola, you can pray to Shiva definitely. Any specific form of Shiva? Any specific form of Shiva that you can suggest?
Actually, I was just chanting Rudram.
Yeah,
Because
excellent.
of
Suggest chanting
because of
Rudram.
Saturn?
Huh?
Because why Rudram?
Perhaps, yeah. In general, if there is a health problem, and especially for Gandanta planets, Sri Rudram is very auspicious. And especially here it happens to be Sun and he is with Saturn. So suggest Sri Rudram. Either if you can chant, let her chant. If you can't chant, let her just listen. Get an MP3. You can get very good MP3s on the internet. Just listen to Namakam and Jamakam. So that, and what else can she do?
Actually, I was thinking in my mind like Sun, Moon, Mercury, all are like important here.
Yeah.
See, Lord Rama, which is
Yeah.
Narayana's avatar, and then
Yeah.
like Sita Rama.
It's a good suggestion too. Sun is the problem planet and he is with Mercury and Saturn, two planets who show Vishnu. So you can definitely worship Rama.
But more than Rama, I think the Rudram or Shiva will make more essence, I think, in case of health problems.
Well, you can't really say that. So Sri Rudram is definitely auspicious. If he just does Amrita Mantra, like Sri Rama Rama Rama, just do those 7-letter mantra, Amrita Mantra of Sri Rama. Just do several malas every day. That can also cure any health problem. So,
Give that mantra to the Sun.
Pardon me?
He may do it if it is simple. So
yeah. Then, yeah.
if he can do, I can tell him to chant Sri Rama.
Sri Rama Rama Rama. Tell him to do Sri Rama Rama Rama. One mala every day. Actually, one mala is too simple. Ideally, if you do like 11 malas or something, then such a mantra will work well. But for him, given his level, maybe one mala will do the trick. So let him do one mala of Sri Rama 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 every day. Or whenever he is free, he can just think in his mind Sri Rama Rama Rama. So Sri Rama 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 for him, and mother also can do Rama worship, and she can chant Rudram. She can listen to Rudram. Those are things you can suggest. And on top of them, Mercury is the Lagna Lord. So you have to do something about Mercury. What can you do?
Narayana.
Vishnu. So for that reason, Mercury with Sun, we already said Sri Rama. So if she does both Rudram and Rama, both are covered. Both the ends are covered. All the ends are covered. So Sri Rama and Rudram.
He must be like in D20. We say fifth house shows the Ishtadevata.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn.
Venus, Jupiter and Saturn are there.
He must be more attached to.
If he is attached to somebody, then
Yeah.
somebody is shown by Venus, Jupiter.
Yeah, that is
and Saturn.
Lakshmi, like the same.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Any other points?
Only doing his education, that is her main, because he is going to apply for the colleges.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the stable mind to write the essays to the college.
Stable mind too?
They have to write essays for the college to get.
I see. So he has to go to college and he has to write some essays to apply to the colleges, and he doesn't have the apprentice doesn't have the stable mind to do it. So how is the bachelor's education?
In ninth house.
How is the ninth house? In the Siddhamsa.
He is in second house.
13 seconds earlier the Lagna would have changed. So we can't really be confident. Do you know anything about his education? His so far education?
He is in high school. He is a high school senior.
Yeah. He's a high school senior.
He is doing okay.
He's doing okay. Mm-hmm.
He is interested in going into medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought Sagittarius.
Sagittarius makes more sense then.
Ninth
Hmm.
house. I can't.
So let us change it back. Let us change the time a little bit. I will change it to 1742-24. From 1740 to 38. If I do that, then Sagittarius is the Lagna. Now, the fourth house, it contains A6 and A8, but it's Pisces. It's a very favorable sign, and the Lord of that sign, Jupiter, is in the 11th house. He is with 5th Lord, basically. Jupiter 4th Lord and Mars 5th Lord, they are together. 4th, 5th and 6th Lords are together. So it's a nice combination. So overall, they should protect their education, basic education. But the fact that A6 and A8 are there in the 4th house, it shows some obstacles. It's not smooth, but still overall, Jupiter is taking care of him. So this makes sense. So the 9th house has Sun, extremely strong Sun in one house. So medical education is quite possible. And what is the dasha he is running right now?
You say medical when it's on the ninth house?
Pardon me?
Ninth house is Sun.
Yeah.
Sun, why did you say for medical?
One of the planets for medicine is Sun.
I was thinking it's always moon combination is very
Moon creates a healer. That is why they say moon in the 10th house can make a doctor. But that is basically more than doctor, that is healer. If you are talking about a surgeon, it is Sun. And if you are talking about formal medicine, it is Sun, not moon. So Sun is the planet of medicine.
Won't Mars come into picture when it's surgery? It's more with
Mars can also have a role, but Sun is the doctor. The natural doctor is Sun. The doctors of the divine doctors, basically, Ashwini Devatas, they are his children, Sun's children. If you look at Sun, he is in the 9th house, so going to medical college or doing studying medicine is definitely possible. But one thing you can say is, compared to the basic education, the bachelor's education is likely to be stronger. Given that this rectification of the D24 Lagna is accurate, the 9th house is quite strong. Are there any weaknesses on it? Of course there are, but it's not bad at all. Badhaka Lord Mercury aspects it, Rahu aspects it, that's all. But overall, Sun is extremely strong and AL is there. What does AL show? The overall image of the person as far as learning is concerned.
Sun in Gandanta.
Yeah, Sun is in Gandanta. Yes. Sun is in Gandanta, so that thing is hanging on his head. But bottom line is, a very strong planet in one sign occupies the 9th house, and AL is there. If AL occupies any sign in D24, it shows a new image being formed related to learning during that particular period. And also Sun Dasha is running right now.
Yes.
So right now, Sun Jupiter is running. Sun Jupiter is about to start. So this is very favorable. So,
But on what basis we rectified? We rectified based on his interest. It's not possible. He is not showing interest to do things. Means it should be the Capricorn would have been right one.
see, the thing is, he has an okay basic education, right? So that itself is enough. More than Makara Lagna, to have okay education so far, Sagittarius makes a little more sense. We are not confident.
Are you doing that because Saturn is in 4th house, making him dull in the basic education in 4th house? If Makara is the...
No, there is no. Saturn give okay kind of like
is not dull.
He's not.
Because
He's
if,
a very intelligent
because if it is
person.
When things,
Saturn-
he has those weaknesses, but apart from those weaknesses, he is basically fine as far as learning is concerned.
then this will make more sense because if it is Makara Lagna, Saturn in 4th would have made him a dull boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also Arudha Lagna would have been right there.
Right.
Now Arudha Lagna has Sun in it. So he said that he except for the problem, he basically has an okay education. So that makes more sense with Pisces being the 4th house. Any other points? How is the marital life of the person?
Actually, in day 9, Jupiter is with Rahu. That
That is
is not good.
not good. That also explains some irreligiousness. Because not only Vimshamsha and Rashi, you can also look at Navamsha for overall sense of Dharma. The 9th lord of the Navamsha, Jupiter, and also Karaka for Dharma, he is in Rahu's house, afflicted by Rahu in A8. So again, this is not good for being a dharmic person. So he doesn't have a strong sense of Dharma, that is for sure. And secondly, how is marriage?
Even
Seventh
in
Lord
Rashi-
Venus. Sorry.
Pardon me?
No.
Even in Rashi, UL has Rahu. So
Ah,
is there a
in Rashi, UL has Rahu in it.
marrying the foreigner is it?
And how is Navamsha? In Navamsha, the 7th lord Venus is again with he is with Ketu. So again Rahu Ketu influence is there. So most likely marry somebody from a different culture. That is the likelihood. That is a strong possibility. Pardon me?
Having somebody of a different culture, the combination.
Rahu's influence on UL in Rashi chart and Rahu's influence on Rahu Ketu influence on the 7th house and in the Navamsha chart. Here 7th house doesn't have influence. Of course 7th house has Rahu's aspect, but more than that 7th lord is with Ketu in a numerical sign. So it may be. Any other points? Okay, so we will end for today. From next week, we will go back to Brihat Parasara. Where were we? Which chapter were we on in Brihat Parasara Shastram? We're doing Santi. So the Dosham, after the Sankrant Dosham, we will take up next class. So from next Monday, we'll go back to Parasara. One hour we'll do Parasara, and 1 hour any examples that you have. We will use that format for a while. So we will end for today, and hope this new time will work out nicely for all of you, and have a good night. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.